It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived. You can clearly see the excitement on my face, and you need to share this too, because we are ready to welcome into studio a man who is driven to inspire, to motivate, and to transform lives. And I am not telling one word of a lie right now. Now, he is truly a motivational artist and a change agent. Of course, I'm talking about the one and only Ricardo, aka Warrior Rick in the building! Yeah!
He is joining us this morning for a discussion around nurturing and developing talents of young people. Warrior Rick, it's always so great having you here. You bring that great energy with you, but you've also been at this for quite some time.
Yes.
And I feel like you are one of those individuals where you know the winning recipe. Otherwise, you would not have been at it for this long.
That's true. That's true.
Now, how can we, keep the youth encouraged during a world where I feel like their world is filled with distractions?
Oh, yeah.
They never experience boredom to really unlock their true talents.
You said it. That word right there, boredom, is something that we avoid. We think that, no, we have to keep filling space. And that is our challenge as adults, but especially for the youth. They feel like if they're not seen being busy, if they're not really going after things and being ambitious, that they're not going to find their passion. And that's what's more important. It's not about what you do in your major. It's not about what you actually are going after in your adolescent and your pre-adult years. It's really about exploration. It's really about trying to find the plethora of things that you can explore in order to find your true self. And I think we need to allow them to be bored and allow them to daydream, allow them to just wonder. That wonderment is lost, Zoe, unfortunately.
It really is.
Yeah. Wonderment is lost. I want to find it. We're going to help the people find it. How do we be practical about that? Obviously, I love the sentiment. I love what this means and how we need to obviously find that boredom, which means a lot more than just being bored, right?
Of course.
But how do we practically maybe implement some of these sort of instances where we can overcome some of the obstacles of these distractions, of these maybe setbacks that we inevitably go through as we're chasing that goal, that why, or that reason?
Well, maybe now I'm going to give the secret of why this has been so easy for me, Zoe. Since you've been at it for so long. Well, it's wisdom, isn't it? Because we've always been focused on information as knowledge.
Yeah.
But truly, knowledge comes from experience. So, as an opa, right, and a father...
Are you claiming that title?
I'm claiming it. And with the many children I have in my family and even in my community, I get to practice. And in that practice, what I found that the best way to share knowledge is to have the experience. So you have to get on your bike. You have to be able to climb a mountain. And I mean, it can be a small mountain. It's not about the bigger, the better. It's about the consistency. I always share with people are looking for intensity. It's like, I need to be intense. Consistency wins every time. So it's about getting up early, trying new things, and finding new people to do it with. Because if we think that we're right, then it's a belief system. But if we think that we can change and grow, then it's more about your values. So what do you value? And that's what we need to focus on.
We need to focus on that, and we need people to guide us, and you're one of those individuals. But perhaps, Warrior Rick, you can tell us from a mentorship point of view, why is it so important for young individuals to seek a mentor and have someone be that guiding light in that direction?
Turning it on its head a bit, Zoe, I think what it is that our young people need to also see themselves as mentors. Because oftentimes we look at teachers and we look at people in society as leaders, and we only look up to them, but we forget that our practice is in doing what they do. So when you're learning, you need to also teach. So when you learn something, you can tutor, you can be a teacher's assistant. So even from a very young age, you can practice what you've learned. And that is the best way of learning. That is putting the practical to test the theory. And I think that's where, when you're looking for a mentor, you'll find it best in yourself first, how you can mentor others, and then you know what to look for yourself. There's an interesting thing with Ikigai, as you know, right? You got to find what you're good at. People will tell you what you're good at, what comes easy to you. But this aspect of trying to fill the gap of what the world needs, I think that's where we fail oftentimes. We're too often trying to fill a gap and trying to force a round peg in a hole. And the thing is that we need to actually just do what we love and enjoy what we're doing, and the world will take care of itself. We will actually fit in where we're needed most in the world, but we got to find what we love.
I love that. So you're changing that sort of direction to focus on yourself, and you'll naturally find a way to fill that void that you explain. And this makes absolute sense. I think from let's say from a young person's perspective, right? And I know you've worked with a lot of school kids, a lot of children, so you have great insight when it comes to this. What is happening when it comes to that mental aspect, that mental perspective and potential paradigm shift that occurs when they maybe have someone guiding them versus not in spaces and in these very overwhelming situations where you're kind of determining your why, right?
So true.
Does it
Hank.
make a difference?
It does, Raul. I mean, we often talk about in media and in social media, we often look for the GOAT. We're looking for who's that person that is not only, made it, but has also overcome adversity.
Yeah.
And those stories are rare, but they're sensational. They're stories that we get excited about, and they are motivating. But the ones that have really made it, the larger percentage of folks have had parents at home. They've had a big uncle. They've had a big brother, a big sister, a cousin. And it is because of the fact that when we break barriers, it's because we've seen it done. It's a lot harder to envision something that you don't understand and you just can't see yourself doing it. There was the record that had never been broken for almost 100 years, just 4 laps around, 4 laps around, right? And they couldn't break 4 minutes, but the time that someone broke it at 4 minutes, and it was sometime in the 50s or 60s, I believe, 1950, 1960. And after that, we found that record just keeps coming down.
It's opened,
Just keeps coming down. It's opened up. Ethiopians are amazing at long distance running. They're doing exceptionally well. But just yesterday, we had our first South African win in the Sprawl Women's Challenge. How's that? And that's in 6 years. So it's about breaking barriers. And when you see someone do it, then you say, you know what? If they can do it,
I can do it.
come on.
Here we go.
Well, that's what it's about. Warrior Rick coming through with all the good stuff. And this is absolutely perfect for a Monday morning. It's not going to stop there. We have a part 2 coming at you. So the inspiration train is going nowhere. It's coming straight at you in just a bit. But before we do, let's take a breather. Let's catch up with G-Man, and then we'll carry on with this conversation.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And yes, this is a Monday motivation type of day. And we are back with motivational artists. And I have to say, this is my favorite change agent, Warrior Rick. Now, he is a man obsessed with touching hearts and minds to develop beautiful and resilient souls. And we're going to continue our discussion around nurturing and developing the talents of young people. And this time, looking at the role played by educators. A very important role indeed.
Very key, very key. I'm asked to speak at a lot of schools, and oftentimes, people say, what motivates you and inspires you just generally, and it's the twinkle in the eye of the students and the way they lean on their seats and the excitement. You know that feeling. And it's unfortunate oftentimes that the educators aren't present, and I mean they may be trying to discipline the kids while we're having the talk or kind of grading papers while we're there, but the message is for them as well. Even the message from the earlier segment this morning wasn't just for the learners, it's for the educators and it's for the parents. So this opportunity now, and I hope they're listening, is really for our parents, our guardians, our coaches, and our teachers who really need to just get back to passion. Get back to passion and stop babysitting and really start, honing in to what they love.
Now, one thing that I think is important, obviously, is that I think the role of the educator, as you so perfectly described, goes beyond just getting the kid to get good grades, right? It's more than this. What would you sort of ascertain to be far more valuable when it comes to I think the time spent with a child, especially when you have these opportunities to engage, to part that knowledge, what do you think is of importance, apart from the grades?
It's a word that we talked about in the beginning of the segment, which was nurture.
Yeah.
And nurture means to protect. So what do we want our teachers to do besides discipline, besides teaching a lesson? We want to give them a safe and secure space for learning. So if a child has that safe and secure space, they can make mistakes. Right? So the teacher, the parent, the principal, they should be a safety net that says, I also made mistakes. I'm also human, so that you can allow to explore, as we talked about. So the best thing that I think an educator can do is to have the lesson plan, have the outline and the guardrails, if you will, but allow the youth to take their own road, allow them to explore, and knowing that you can catch them if they fall.
Nice.
I like that, giving them a little bit of wiggle room within the framework that's there. Now, I love that you said this is not just for the youth, this is also for the educators, the guardians, the parents, the mentors. what type of tools, and we're focusing now with the schools, what type of tools should teachers implement, or, you know, their own skills should they develop to be able to, you know, accommodate the various diverse classroom that they have? Because what works for one student wouldn't necessarily work for another.
100%. And what works for one educator doesn't work for another. So again, tapping into their unique skills. Some are better at sports, some are better at art. It doesn't necessarily matter what they're teaching, but it's the extracurricular, isn't it? The teachers that you remember, Zoe, are the ones who had a well-rounded understanding of you, your friends. So you're like, I like that teacher because they understand me. It's about empathy. And the way we get empathy is we have to be ourselves. We have to be authentic. You can't be empathetic if you're playing and if you're pretending and if you're performing. So we need to be able to get to that space of genuineness. So if a teacher is teaching math but they're good at art, use art in that aspect of teaching math. And if you're a sports person, doesn't matter what you're teaching, support the coach. That is their responsibility and their role to, you know, take the rugby guys out and the cricket and the swimming ladies out, but be there as a support, because oftentimes a student and a student athlete will look to not just the one who's supposed to teach it or coach them, but it's that mentor. It's that person on the sidelines that they say, I'm doing this for you because you believe in me.
And I think that belief is really what's important here. I think for any kid, instilling that belief is really what's going to be the fuel to get them across the finish line or achieving that goal. Thing is, it gets tricky when you don't know what these talents are, when you don't know what my magic is within me. Why do you think maybe it's important to invest in that and not just, like we said, the grades specifically? Because there's a lot more that can allow us to win at life and achieve these goals if we invest in that. Why do you think this is so important?
Because it takes the pressure off.
Okay.
We already have enough pressure.
Yeah.
And Zoe mentioned as well that we've got pressure plus distractions. We're living in an over-communicated society, so we've got more distractions than ever. So when we allow that exploration, when we allow that wonderment, what we're doing is we're removing some of the pressure. And that's what we want. Your power, your strength lies in your peace and your contentment. It's not how hard you can hit, right? It's about how you can get back in the ring and still be in the game. It's not always about win or loss, but it's about how long you can participate and be part of it. To do what? To learn some more. Wisdom comes from the experiences. Intuition, that gut feel, is just a number of experiences that you've had that starts to give you that gut feel. So we've got to allow them the opportunity as often as possible to reduce the pressure, find the peace, and let them play. Let them work. Let them engage, so that when they're out there, we can say, you know what? I remember when they were in high school. Look at them now. And they'll look back at us and say thank you and gratitude for what they were able to do, what we were able to do for them. So it's a constant engagement that we need to have in humanity that we've been missing. We've been missing because we're too focused on the rigid belief system that you have to pass. What's passing? What's passing? It's not good enough. We need excellence. And the way you get excellence is you say, show me what you got. Come on, show me what you're passionate about. Come on, participate, engage. And that way we're going to deliver excellence, which should be our goal, not just passing. Passing is mediocre. Passing is mundane. Passing is average, and we weren't meant to be average.
We were not meant to be average. Class is in session, ladies and gentlemen. Warrior Rick, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you for leaving us here with such great energy. We are filled up for this Monday, and I hope today's message from Warrior Rick really touched you as well.